Harry's Wife, part 100.38. Boooooo. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. You'll recall back in June that you were immensely entertained by the fact that Harry's wife turned up with Prince Harry to the service of booing at St. Paul's Cathedral during the Platinum Jubilee. I explained in that video, simply entitled Boo, the impact of that. Yesterday, I provided you with a short piece of footage that had been taken from inside, which suggested that there was booing as they entered the Bridgewater Hall. There was no booing, and that video was misleading, although it did provide me with an opportunity to tell you more about the interaction between Prince Harry and Harry's wife in relation to the grip of doom. Of course, there were a number of individuals who didn't quite get what I was explaining, exhibiting that they're hard of understanding, and started banging on about saying there was booing. Yes, outside, but that video was declaring that there was booing inside, and it clearly was wrong. There wasn't any. There was cheering, there was clapping, there was somebody who would appear to be a sort of audience stimulator shouting "let's go" in an American accent, who appeared to have been brought in most likely in order to whip the audience up into a paid frenzy of appreciation for the Duchess of Industrial Beige before she sent everybody into a coma with what must be one of the most boring and insipid and uninspiring me speeches ever witnessed in the history of ever. Nevertheless, booing did take place, but outside. And it's worthwhile diving into that and also explaining the impact that has upon Harry's wife. You'll recall also that in order to minimize the impact, what occurred was that protesters were removed from a period of time beforehand, as far as possibly could be done, in order to reduce the risk of an unfavourable response. This will, of course, be done by Harry's wife's advisors, able to read the fact that she isn't popular in the United Kingdom and that there would likely be protests. Of course, Harry's wife, all being for freedom of speech when it applies to her, is more than content, as a consequence of being a narcissist, to stifle it elsewhere when it means that she's being criticised. Her narcissism guides her to do so. It has to, in order to nullify the threats to control that are posed. We now turn to the Mail Online with an article by Matt Powell that states, "Protesters hold up sign calling Harry and Harry's wife fake royals outside One Young World Summit, where Duchess of Sussex is giving a speech about gender inequality." This was, of course, was written yesterday, and as you all know, she didn't give a speech about gender inequality. Gender inequality was left behind. Protesters brought anti-Harry and Harry's wife signs and argued with supporters of the couple outside the summit in Manchester, where the Duchess of Sussex is delivering a speech about gender inequality, although she's not. The couple smiled as they passed the crowd outside Bridgewater Hall, ignoring a sign that called them fake royals. The content of the sign is challenge fuel. It's a reaction. It's not a huge amount of fuel, but it's there nevertheless. But it's critical, and therefore in the circumstances, Harry's wife's narcissism didn't cause her to run over, headbutt the whole of the placard, rip it up, and then take a piss on it, but rather caused her just to ignore it, staying in a position of withdrawal and haughtily dismissing it in her own mind. One lady held up a hand-drawn poster saying "F.O. Harry and Meghan" and fake royals, while protesters were seen arguing the crowd with fans of the royal pair. Harry's wife is attending the One Young World Summit to give a keynote speech about gender inequality to an audience of 2,000 people. As we know, it was a speech about herself, see parts passim, and much of the audience will have been paid to attend. The Duchess of Sussex, 41, arrived wearing bright red trousers, shoes and top, with a slicked-back ponytail, alongside Harry, 37, who wore his only one dark suit. Harry's wife was pictured earlier exiting a BMW 4x4 outside the venue where crowds had gathered. A protester held a poster calling the Duke and Duchess of Sussex fake royals while standing outside the Manchester venue. The couple, who have stepped away from royal duties, walked inside the building as Harry's wife prepared to deliver a keynote speech at the opening ceremony. During Sir Bob Geldof's speech, he stated that he spotted a Britain First protester with the van outside. Sir Bob denounced hatred and called on people to come together. It's a short report, but it demonstrates that there were protests outside, and Harry's wife dealt with that by ignoring them. Furthermore, there's further comment about this through Newsweek, and Jack Royston, who ordinarily is often found with his tongue wedged firmly up the butt cheeks of Harry's wife, reports as follow. Harry's wife and Prince Harry left their critics at the door as they took the stage at a youth summit to rapturous applause during their return to Britain. The couple faced a small but noisy protest and some booing outside the One Young World Summit 2022 at the Bridgewater Hall in Manchester. But by the time they walked through cheering crowds in the auditorium, the hostility must have felt miles away. Nevertheless, the booing took place, as mentioned, outside, not inside. And that booing is challenge fuel. It's fuel for her because people are reacting to her presence, but because it's critical, her narcissism doesn't like it, and it's a threat to control. It affects the image that she has that she's utterly likeable, and that anybody who questions her likability must clearly be a racist or a hater. Again, her narcissism will have caused her just to ignore it, perhaps commenting about it to Prince Harry, who would have gone and mumbled a bit, before wondering why on earth he was being dragged around by his pink pods once again. Royston continues as his role as a supporter of the gruesome twosome by stating the couple got a standing ovation as they took the stage and were name-checked by Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, whose guests were informed by the host was nicknamed the King of the North. Burnham stayed true to his credentials. He would have been entirely dismissive of this grifter. By the time the Sussexes arrived, they had already run a gauntlet of media attention, with photographers capturing their departure from their UK home, Frogmore Cottage in Windsor, and their arrival at London's Euston Station, where they caught the train. They were then filmed leaving their Manchester hotel by ITV News before finally arriving at the venue, where a protester held a placard that read, "F.O. Harry and Meghan fake royals." This, of course, demonstrates once again the nature of the dislike of them. The rest of the article is more about talking about what's gone on, which we already are fully aware of. We've had the nauseating experience of listening to and watching her give that speech. No need to go through that again. I'm not feeling particularly sadistic today towards you. But let's go back to the Mail Online and see what the reaction is from the great British public to this issue of booing by jumping below the line and seeing what people have by way of observation. Beverly from Leeds in West Yorkshire, brilliant. Hope they saw it. Well done, that woman. Nanny Granny adds, hope Netflix film crew saw it too. Angela Kisser from London observes, too right that they are protesting, and so should we all. Serving Soldier jumps in, did you protest Andrew's £12 million payoff? Snowflakes go home. Well done, that lady. Jay Robertson from Canada, you Brits are so mean, my God. Come on, Canadian person, wake up. Becca Boo 53, at least somebody speaks the truth. WWW, that sign is the most honest thing I've read in a while. Thor 84 from Halifax, good. Let the people be heard. Mr. Grimsdale, and all being recorded for Netflix. Nowhere but here ads and their narrative will focus on how they have overcome prejudice and adversity. Vote Odin from Nottingham adds, bet that sign doesn't figure in it. Maybe Netflix will also get the message. Now hope the pair do want back to America as fast as possible I used to have so much respect for Harry, now just an idiot boy being led by the nose by a spiteful, self-promoting woman. Cooper 6. Yes, knighthood for that person. It's what we all think. Strip the titles. Mr. Beef from Benfleet. Excellent work. Fall is coming from the United States. Good for them. Civilian 14 from Liverpool. I do hope they seen that sign. Brilliant. Scepter. Well done, those good people of my city, Manchester. Queen Kate. Respect to all those that are showing that Harry and Harry's wife are not welcome. Rich 1202. For once I agree with protesters. Marie B. Wright. Brilliant. Hit nail on head. O is an answer. True, true. Jojo returns from Wensleydale. That sign is magnificent. Nikki. Brilliant. Zara, 1964. Fantastic. Ring Sting. Interesting. From Carlisle. Well said. And on it goes. There's the occasional sugar that wanders in trying to argue, but it is hundreds of comments, all supporting that sign and the fact that they are being booed and disliked. And it shows again the tidal wave of disapproval for Harry's wife. Again, all of this is small amounts of challenge fuel, but it's demonstrative of the way that she is not liked at all, and the fact that so many people see through her. Of course, she won't take any notice of it in terms of believing, yes, of course, this is a mistake by me, I'm an idiot, I'm a fool, I should do better. She will just dismiss them, complaining about them to her coterie, who will, of course, as always, tug the forelock and agree that these people are just swivel-eyed, bigoted, foam-flecked nut jobs. She will never change her behaviour. Instead, people will continue to rail against her, providing her with the fuel, but repeatedly threatening her with the control that she so desperately seeks. The problem that will come is that ultimately brands and organisations will realise that she's far too much trouble than she's worth, and they will start to stay away from her with the consequential problems that brings with that. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.